Welcome to the Anime Audiophile Podcast. Please like and subscribe for more. Thank you. Kakashi Hiden, Lightning in the Icy Sky. Chapter 6. Special Attack. Fists of Seasickness. Hey. You. Guy barked. I'm not happy here, you know. Ryo looked him over. My guy here knows only too well how you're feeling. No matter how hard you work, someone always comes along from the side and snatches up the juicy bits. And on top of that, the guy who does it ends up being called a genius. Guy glanced at Kakashi meaningfully and further insisted, but look at me. I can only use one leg, but I don't go to pieces over a thing like that. You keep trying and work hard to develop the skills you can, you'll be able to stand up on your own 2 feet again like me. And then one day those stinking geniuses will come to me looking for help. This guy here's a great example. He snapped a finger out at Kakashi. You, seriously. At a time like this, what, now, Ryo, my friend, you need to stop all this right away. You can't keep adding crime to crime. Don't hate the world. You can't hate. Guy getting drunk on his own words was the same old, but even in a tense time like this, he managed to get carried away, and hot tears poured endlessly down his face. No, tell me about your hate. My guy here will stop it for you with the full power of youth. The passengers were already fleeing to one corner. Well, I suppose I'll have you stop it then. Crouching, Ryo quickly wove a sign. Ice style. Ice-breaking sledgehammer. Guy, this is no time for you to be drunk on yourself. Kakashi shouted. It's coming. Instantly closing the distance between them, Ryo's fist plunged right into the guts of Guy, who wasn't quite fast enough. His eyes flew open. The corner of Ryo's mouth pulled up into a sneer. But the next instant, Guy's body, supposedly pierced by the enemy's fist, flickered like a mirage and disappeared. Guy's real body was already launching a roundhouse kick from behind. Konoha whirlwind. What? Ryo immediately yanked his body back and launched his next punch. Ice-breaking fist. Guy's kick and Ryo's iron fist slammed up against each other. Crack. A light flared up at the collision, and the walls of the cabin shook fiercely. The pair leapt back at the same time. Kakashi held his breath and watched the battle. Ow, wow. Guy bounced around, clutching the leg in the cast. NGH. WY, something so trivial. Nothing is impossible with the power of youth. You know, said Ryo. That leg looks pretty bad. Even if my leg is broken, my spirit is not. In that case, I'll snap that spirit of yours in half as well. Talk all you want, but it's futile. Guy steeled himself, even as cold sweat poured down his face from the pain in his leg. Now! Come! You can't stop us! Ryo yelled. I'll take this one out. Ryo's arms, now the color of lead, had already turned to steel. Even from where Kakashi was, he could feel the incredible amount of chakra collected in those arms, an ice-breaking hammer that would crush a block of ice. If he took a hit from those, even Guy would be helplessly knocked down. Guy waved his own arms, and almost by magic the twin fangs, Guy's specialized nunchaku, appeared. No one's ever managed to slip past the twin fangs here and land a blow. As if to prove it, he began to spin the twin fangs so quickly they could no longer be seen. The pair of humming nunchaku coiled about Guy's body as they sliced through the air. They were almost a living creature, almost a part of Guy's own body. SHF. 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 Guy easily made them dance around him, cutting along his sides, wrapping his head and torso, while Ryo gazed upon the sight. All right. You can do it, Kakashi thought. Ryo was hesitating in the face of the speed of the twin fangs and of Guy's ability to manipulate them so effortlessly. But no matter how easy he made it look, Guy was still Guy after all. He abruptly froze in place and stayed there. A furrow rose up between Raiyo's brows, as did one on Kakashi's brow. The lounge fell back into silence, and the next instant, vomit gushed endlessly from Guy's mouth. Kakashi. Tears of anguish poured from Guy's eyes as he fixed them on Kakashi. I feel terrible. And my leg hurts. He's getting it from all sides. Kakashi was dumbfounded. He probably looked at the twin fangs he was spinning around and made his motion sickness even worse. Ngra. A vein popped up on Raiyo's forehead. Playing the fool, he took a firm step forward and threw a kick at Guy's bad leg. Guy's face twisted up in pain. Raiyo pounded forward, his ice-breaking fist aimed squarely at Guy's head. Die! But luck was still on Guy's side, after all. His feet got tangled up because of the motion sickness, and the right leg that sprang up as he bent his body backward, the leg with the big, heavy cast, somehow caught Raiyo on the chin. THHWK. Taking a hard kick that sent him flying, Raiyo simply blinked rapidly, unable to understand what had just happened. But the person most surprised appeared to be Guy himself. Did you see that? Gee, gotta name it, he thought about as he hopped around on one foot. A name. FF Fists of Seasickness. You do whatever you want, Kakashi couldn't help but think. Enough messing around. Raiyo gritted his teeth hard and launched an attack like a conflagration. Although Guy had indeed just come up with a new technique, the truth was he was in no condition to fight. On top of not being able to use one leg, his intense motion sickness was distorting the world before his eyes. The floor was twisted up like ribbon candy, and it was all he could do to stand occasionally. He crouched down and threw up. So Kakashi thought it was simply coincidence that Guy dodged the next attack as it grazed his face. But what happened twice happened thrice. In fact, it also happened 4 and then 5 times. Raiyo couldn't land a single blow on Guy, staggering, crouching, barfing, wobbling, eyes wide open, swaying, twisting his body. This guy. Kakashi was surprised all over again. He's really mastered the fists of seasickness. You just never stop. The attacks of the enraged Raiyo gradually grew erratic. Still, 1 out of every 3 times, his ice-breaking fist managed to graze Guy. Hey, Kakashi. The small voice called out just as Raiyo's fist mowed down the bar. Bottles fell to the floor and smashed. Kakashi looked down and found that at some point, Pakken had appeared by his side. We got all the explosive tags, Pakken said. I'm going to chew through your ropes now. Even as Pakken was struggling with the ropes binding Kakashi's hands, the battle between Guy and Raiyo continued. Foot slipping on the spilled alcohol, Guy fell over rather spectacularly, and Raiyo brought his ice-breaking fist down on him without mercy. Guy rolled away, and Raiyo's fist, having lost its target, punched a hole in the floor. Jumping back up, Guy tossed off a counterattack, but not only was his haphazardly thrown haymaker dodged completely, he accidentally ended up throwing himself into the arms of his enemy. It ends here. Raiyo's eyes, sunk into their sockets, glittered sharply. Ice-breaking fist. The iron punch caught Guy in the stomach. Wud! The dull sound echoed through the room, and Guy's body floated up into the air. His eyes bulged and the air in his body shot out all at once. Assured of victory, Raiyo grinned. But it wasn't just air that came out of Guy's body. Erp! Before he knew it, the substance jetting forcefully from Guy's mouth was making direct contact with Raiyo's face. Oh. Sorry, Guy said, timidly. I got a bit of that on you, looks like. I'll kill you. Raiyo howled, the sour stuff dripping from his face. Nah. A storm of blows in succession assaulted Guy. Kick, thrust, palm strike, elbow, knee, fist, almost as if it would not be enough unless he used every single technique he could to cause his opponent pain, Raiyo struck. and struck and struck. Die! Kakashi yanked hard to rip apart the ropes already nearly cut by Pakin's teeth. Is our business here done, Kakashi? Thanks, Pakin. Next time, I'll treat you all to some tasty meat. Grinning, Pakin, poof, was enveloped in white smoke and disappeared. Kakashi kicked at the floor and flew up, while his chakra poured into his hands to release a crackling stroke of purple lightning. Fierce pain raced along his broken fingers, but that didn't matter. Noticing something amiss, Ryo turned bloodshot eyes toward Kakashi. You? How on earth? Kakashi leapt out from the shadow of the collapsing guy. Violet Bolt. His enemy couldn't react in time, but he ended up not being able to strike with the whole might of his purple lightning. SHRF. At the sound ripping through the air, he reflexively dodged. A kunai shining with silver light tore open Kakashi's cheek. The moment he landed, he fled with a backward somersault. Thank. The kunai that came after him pierced the floor. The instant they plunged through the wood, they melted away and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Those aren't kunai. Keeping low, Kakashi glared at the newcomer. These are the same ice fangs that came after us in the air ducts. Kaio! Ryo shouted. What are you doing? You're not supposed to let yourself be seen. If I hadn't launched those ice swords, he would have done you in, brother. The newcomer, in a white ninja costume and a mask with a hook pattern, turned back toward Kakashi. It'd be a shame to kill you right away. Itachi Kakashi, you fight me now. Chapter 7. Frozen Lightning. Ice Style. Earth Chain Ice. Kaio wove her signs and struck the floor with the palm of her hand. An ice crystal began to stretch out toward Kakashi like a snake. The crystal immediately became an enormous icicle and bared its fangs. Kakashi reacted without a moment's delay. Violet Bolt. He slammed the palm of his hand onto the floor. The pale purple electric current was transmitted across the gallons of alcohol spilled on the floor to meet the ice foam dead on, popping and crackling the whole way. Boom! The ice and lightning, colliding savagely, caused an explosion large enough to shake the entire ship. The passengers screamed. Caught in the blast, the grand piano flew toward a child who was a little late to run. Sweeping up the boy and dancing away was none other than the man with a broken leg and the power of youth on full display, Guy. The piano crashed into the wall, and the chandelier on the ceiling shuddered threateningly. Returning the sobbing boy to his mother, Guy glared hard at Ryo. It's clear you lot don't understand when we tell you, Ha ha ha. Ryo laughed as he charged. This just got interesting. Punch and punch, kick and kick, the battle between Guy and Ryo was completely even, only the number of moves steadily increased. 10 hits, 20, 30, they slammed up against each other violently. Kakashi turned toward his own enemy. 2 months ago, you were guarding Garyo, right? We don't think we can defeat you in Konoha. Kakashi was silent. But even if we throw away our lives, our message will most definitely reach someone, Kaio continued speaking quietly. And then that someone will move next. Like this, our will is handed down. Garyo's just an idealist. And the problem with idealists is that they'll burn down the whole world for the sake of their ideals. A world like this should be destroyed. She said nothing. That's what you were going to say, wasn't it? Kakashi narrowed his eyes. Madara and a man who was a good friend of mine probably thought the same thing. But I believe the truth is that they loved this world more than anything. He could feel Kaio's icy eyes below her mask. Naruto told me you lost your child because of the Land of Waves? What? In that case, it's not hard to see why you'd be happy if the world ended, Kakashi said. You do this shinobi thing, and at some point, you're going to come face to face with the deaths of everyone you love. Hakuyo, my son did not lose his life in war, she cried. Hakuyo was murdered by those Land of Waves bastards. So you swore revenge against the land of waves? Death as a shinobi is something the shinobi chooses. Kakashi shouted. The moment you become a shinobi, you are prepared to die. My brother and I didn't want Hakuyo to live like that. We became rogue ninja and hid ourselves in the land of waves. We simply wished for a quiet life without war, a life without hurting anyone. You're wrong. As long as we're alive, we have to continue fighting, Kakashi told her. It doesn't matter whether you're a shinobi or a regular person. Wielding a kunai or wielding banknotes, it's the same thing. The very fact of living itself means you're always fighting for your life. Yeah. Kakashi cried out in a strange voice and rushed toward him. What do you know? Kakashi coolly assessed the incoming attack. His enemy's fist cut through the air and was blocked. The follow-up kick split nothing more than Kakashi's afterimage. The death of a comrade and the death of a child who shares your blood are two entirely different things. Kakashi bent down to evade Kakashi's roundhouse kick. Grief over losing a comrade is healed by time at some point. He pushed up an elbow strike with a flat hand. How could someone like you understand the feelings of a parent whose child has been killed? Kakashi grabbed the fist that was launched at him. Then why are you trying to take the lives of other people's children? The boy Guy had rescued earlier was looking at them with fearful eyes. The people that you executed were someone's children, Kakashi said. This grief of yours isn't going to disappear even if you do destroy the world. Yeah. Shoving Kakashi aside, Kakashi slammed the palm of her hand down onto the floor. Ice style. Earth chain ice. An ice formation so enormous all the others that had come before it paled in comparison encircled Kakashi and spread out, like a ring of ice flowers Kakashi made bloom from her own frozen heart. Kakashi was not the only one doing a backflip to escape the ice fangs. Reihyo and Guy dodged in the same way, while the passengers stumbled out of the way or slid along the floor. The steadily growing ice petals pierced the ceiling, lifted the floorboards, and pushed into the walls of the ship with sharpened tips. Stop, Kakashi! The shout came from Reihyo. We're still over the ocean. You must endure it. Kakashi had completely lost herself, however, and her brother's voice did not reach her ears. Just the opposite, she radiated even more chakra, adding power to the ice flowers. Reihyo was forced to leap over the icicles and ram his iron fist into Kakashi's stomach. Thud. Knocked unconscious, she collapsed in Reihyo's arms. But he was just a tenth of a second too late. Wham! The jutsu was released at the same time as Kakashi lost consciousness, but before the ice flower could vanish like mist, it opened an enormous hole in the ship's body. Air travels from areas of high pressure toward areas of lower pressure. The thin atmosphere 5,000 meters above the ground sucked out all of the air in the dining lounge with a roar. Passengers, too, were sucked one after another through the hole in the ship, along with plates and forks, knives, spoons, the wood chips and bottles of alcohol scattered and broken on the floor, and the various equipment brought on board for the sightseeing tour. Most of its wires now cut, the chandelier was just barely hanging from the ceiling on the one wire it had left. The screams of the passengers were drowned out by the roar of the wind. Still holding Kakashi, Reihyo grabbed onto the nearest pillar and just managed to hang on against the wind pressure that threatened to carry him away. Gah! Guy's body floated in the air. Guy! Kakashi threw himself forward to grab onto Guy's hand, but couldn't get a good grip because of his broken fingers. Damn it! Still, somehow he managed to grab onto one of the power lines jutting out through a rip in the wall. He was about to be pulled outside the ship, still holding onto Guy. Oh! Kakashi and Guy were thrown about by the wind like a flag ripped in two, up, down, left, right, trading places with incredible speed, slamming into the ship countless times. Kakashi, let go! Guy barked. If you don't, you'll end up falling too. Don't fight me, Guy. No. Let go. I'll be fine. From this trivial altitude, it's no big deal as long as I have the power of youth. Keep your sleep talk in your sleep. The hand holding onto Guy had a broken finger, and the hand holding onto the power line did too. No matter how tightly he tried to hold on, Kakashi couldn't do anything about the power line inching away from the palm of his hand. Master Kakashi? Can you hear me, Master Kakashi? He didn't have anything extra to answer Ino's call with. In the corner of his eye, passengers plummeted to the ground. And that wasn't the only thing flitting by in the corner of his eye. We secured the passengers our enemies had assaulted and kidnapped near the ceremony grounds. Something like a white flower petal, the leaf of a tree blown about by the wind. Master Kakashi, can you hear me? The Land of Waves has just now notified Lady Tsunade of the information about the attackers. When he saw the hook pattern on that surface, Kakashi realized it was Kaio's mask. Even as he was being blown up practically horizontally, Kakashi tried to search out Kaio somehow. Kaio, out cold in Reihio's arms farther back in the dining lounge. The long curly hair yanked up by the wind. Master Kakashi? The breakdown of the 12 people attacking from the Ryua Armed Alliance is 11 men and 1 woman. Can you hear me, Master Kakashi? The victims were assaulted by 11 men and HNGH. In that instant, everything disappeared. The noise, the wind, even time. The power line finally slipped from his hand, and the last thing Kakashi saw as he tumbled to the earth with Guy was one woman. The woman in the long blue dress. End of chapters 6, 7, and 8. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for lots more.